running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsockеtradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee and panel.
It's Coffee and on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us Thursday morning, January 9th, National Day of Mourning, everybody. Did you realize that? Sue's looking like me like deer in the headlights. What are you talking about, Joe?
I remember.
It's Biden announced that it's Jimmy Carter.
Oh, that.
Oh, that.
Well, I didn't mean, it's just been mourning for a little while. That's why I didn't realize it was a today.
There's an actual day. This is it.
And that's what they title it as. I did not know that.
It's National Day of Mourning. The flags will stay at half staff until like the 30th. I think it goes to the end of the month. And the only way it affects anything is for some reason the stock market is closed.
Really?
And that's it. There's still school. The mail still gets delivered. Banks and credit unions are open. So okay, but the stock market is closed. And I asked Ed Carew this. I said, "How long has this been going on?" Because it started sometime, and now it's a thing. And he goes, "Not that long." He says he can remember at least back to when Ronald Reagan passed away.
Okay.
They did it then, and then Bush passes away. Well, now we can do it again, and so now we just do it. It's now tradition.
It's a thing.
Now it's a thing, and so that going forward, that's just what they will now do. I said, "Well, what about Kennedy?" Well, he goes, "Well, I was 11, so yeah, I don't know. He wasn't involved in the stock market at that point, so I don't know if the stock market closed back then for Kennedy's funeral." So
I don't know if it was for Kennedy's funeral, but Kennedy was, I believe that took place on a Thursday, and Friday the whole country was in chaos and closed.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So it is a National Day of Mourning. If you want to go down to D.C.
So do I have to work?
No. No. Well, maybe take a picture and
Now today's
and send it back.
Today's the funeral, National Cathedral.
I believe it is today.
Okay.
Yes. So it's going to be busy in Washington D.C. Today.
I think President Carter deserves it. I think he is a
Well,
very
sure.
good man.
And all presidents should have this big ceremony thing when they pass away. I think it's a big deal.
My daughter's favorite is William Henry Harrison.
Why is that?
He was the 9th president of the United States, and he died within 30 days after being inaugurated.
That's had a heart attack or a stroke or something, right? That was real quick.
I don't know if I thought it was, at the time it might have been food poisoning, but something like that. Indirect food poisoning.
Oh, okay. Well, it was not an assassination.
No, not an assassination.
It's not like
Today, it would be looked at as an assassination.
attempt. They'd be looking at the chef.
Yeah.
What's in your background?
Right.
Sure. Okay. All right. So that's what's going on today. The other, of course, the other big stories happening out west is the fires in California.
Oh, that is
out
just
of control.
Unbelievable.
It is. If you don't see if you haven't seen the pictures of it, it's just you can't imagine how bad this is. And
if I was on the board of directors of an insurance company, I'd have my ticket to a foreign country right away.
I resign. It's just I can't. The claims that are coming in, the money that's going to be paid out. And although I just heard, actor James Woods lost his house.
Right.
He said 4 months ago, him and his other neighbors in the homes around him all had their insurance canceled.
Why?
For something like this. Well, he didn't say.
Oh.
I don't know if it was disaster or fire or something, but they all had it canceled. So he has no insurance to rebuild his house.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine they're going to bring litigation against the insurance companies on whether or not the cancellation was valid under the policies or something like that.
But it was 4 months ago, so...
Well, their statute of limitations probably is longer than 4 months.
Yeah, okay.
On a claim against the insurance company for
but you couldn't see this coming.
Canceling the insurance.
But it's probably not fraudulently canceled. It sounds like they did it legally.
Well, if the insurance company says we're changing the terms of the policy that we have in effect with you, we insure you right now, beginning January 1st, if your house is struck by lightning. On January 4th, you've paid your premium. You have your 1-year policy that says we'll protect you for being struck by lightning. On January 4th, we come in and say, okay, we're changing the policy. We're no longer going to protect you for being struck by lightning, and we're canceling that policy. You've paid for the whole year. I would think there might be some claim on your behalf that says, okay, you've abrogated the terms of the original agreement arbitrarily, and you're liable for it. Maybe.
Well, like if you have a certain policy, like you just said, you paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
If they tell you ahead of time, effective at your next renewal, this will no longer be covered. That's one thing. But
by the way, that's Sue and that's Bob, by the way. I forgot to introduce everybody. Sorry about that.
Do you think anybody misinterpreted and mixed us up?
I don't think so.
I haven't mixed it up, though. So, okay. So Woods says, he posted it on Twitter. He expressed hope that insurance companies would treat customers affected by the disaster better than those who experienced devastating flooding during Hurricane Helene. Woods was not confident that this would happen. And then he goes on to quote, actually, one of the major insurance companies canceled all the policies in our neighborhood about 4 months ago.
All right.
So
I would want to see what the original policy said with regard to terminations and whether or not the insurance company acted within the terms that they had set forth in the original policy.
But don't the insurance companies have the right to cancel?
I think that if your contract with the insurance company is based upon the terms of your policy. If the policy says we can have the right to cancel at any time in the future should we desire to, that may be one thing. But if the policy doesn't say that, and the policy says we will cover you for lightning strikes for the next year, and then halfway through the year they decide we're no longer going to cover you, but the original policy that you paid for didn't have a clause that allowed the insurance company to terminate, then I think you can say, hey, you violated the terms. You originally said you'd cover me for lightning strikes. I paid for my whole year. Now halfway through the year, you're telling me I'm no longer covered. You're giving me back some of my money, but I'm no longer covered? No. When you started off and said I was covered, that was for the entire year. So there may be some claims in there. I don't know how the insurance policy was originally defined.
Okay. Well, they've got issues.
Oh, I imagine so.
Out there. And last I heard, I don't know if it's changed, but, the fire was at zero containment. And,
that's what I heard,
It makes it all the way down to the Pacific Ocean.
Yep.
Okay, we'll let the ocean put it out. It's like,
I think a big issue when it comes to insurance claims and individuals that are paying money for insurance is you, as an insured person, you tend to think like everything's covered.
Yeah.
You kind of don't pay attention to everything because you don't think that XYZ is ever going to happen to you. So you kind of don't pay attention. So now you try to put in a claim and they say, sorry, you're not covered for that. And I don't side with insurance, believe me. I've had my own share of dealings. But if I have a car accident with my Buick and I decide that, I want a Cadillac and the insurance is horrible because they won't pay for that. It's not how insurance works. Insurance gives you what you pay for. So if you don't pay for something, you don't get it. And it's an unfortunate circumstance, especially when you talk about the hurricanes that took place in an area that has never had a hurricane or flooding. You didn't pay for flood insurance.
Right.
Because you never had that to deal with. So it's very difficult,
just
to say the least.
Looking up real quick online, it just says most standard homeowners insurance policies will cover fire damages, including damage from wildfires. California residents who live in high-risk areas may apply for the state's FAIR, and FAIR is in capital letters, so it must stand for something, fire and something, plan, if they cannot secure coverage elsewhere, so they have to buy it, separately.
Right.
Kind of thing. So, but it's a bad situation. I mean, you got fire on one side, you got smoke on the other side, you got clogged roadways trying to get out and where you're going to go.
Well, did you see was it a bulldozer that
haven't pushed the
had
cars?
to push those cars out of the way for the fire trucks to get by.
And
You're picking up all kinds of tips from Sue, though. You Googled this and you were able to get...
See?
Yeah.
Jeez.
He's catching on after all this time.
Getting smarter
Pretty
with
smart,
his
huh?
Right?
advancing age.
And then they got fire hydrants that are dry
Yeah.
because they've run out of water.
Well, I saw one picture that showed, I'd forgotten, some famous movie star's home, right on Malibu Beach.
Yeah.
And the picture taken before the fire, was taken back from the house, and you saw a lot of sand in front of it, which led me to believe it was close to the edge of the water.
All right.
I was surprised that they weren't able to use the ocean water to try and attack that fire as it came down through the hillside.
I don't think they do, for some reason.
I don't know if the
I don't know if the
salt in the
salt-
water clogs the mechanism for the fire.
Or it wrecks the hoses.
I have no
that they
idea.
use, but I don't think they use salt water to put out fires. Okay. And then they had trouble with the winds. You know,
The winds were what really
they attacked from
did
from
this.
the air to drop water out of airplanes, and they couldn't go up because the 100-mile-an-hour
Right.
Santa Ana winds. It's like, wow, it's like the end of the world.
And that's got to be what
coming
it
down.
looks like to these poor people out there.
I'm sure it does.
And
It's
you
like-
know, and somebody said something
there's no
which was
answer.
kind of stupid. Oh well, they have money; they can rebuild. You know what? That's such a dumb statement to
Yeah,
make.
yeah.
That's neither here nor there. They just lost everything, memories and everything. So how could you make such a dumb statement?
because they say, well, they're actors and millionaires, and
Right.
so
And I
Nothing to worry
understand
about.
that. So yes, they can rebuild, but they still lost everything. They still have to deal with everything.
Oh,
and they
yeah.
still have, pictures or mementos and things. Everybody has those things. Mm-hmm. And so that's just a dumb statement.
it is. All right, a little closer to home. They finally made the announcement down yesterday in West Greenwich with the 4 people shot.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob, why would it take 5 days for police to make the announcement that it was what everybody thought it was? It was a murder-suicide. Is it getting a hold of next of kin? Is it trying to figure out who shot who? I just thought it took a long time.
It did, but I think that that's probably from the point of view of those of us who are not personally involved in the case.
Well, right.
And it may have been much more along the lines of what you said, trying to locate next of kin, sort of prepare them for what was coming along so that they wouldn't just see it in the newspaper and say,
Right.
whoa, It may
I
have
mean,
been
they knew
something
what
like
happened, I'm sure, within the hour.
that. I would think
I
that
think
very-
I could have walked in and known what happened within the hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when they came out and said yesterday that the victims all were shot multiple times, and then you get the man. Well, he was only shot once. Well,
And probably
guess who did it?
probably
I
the
just
weapon
did-
was located close to his
And it
body
was.
as
It was.
well.
It was right next to him.
Yep.
They also got the 2 other weapons in the house as well. And I did read yesterday that all 3 that bought legally. No issues there. So okay. And what's odd is, and I don't know if you read this about this, is that the husband was involved in a domestic violent incident. I believe they said in 2014, so 10 years
10
ago,
years ago, right.
where the charges were dropped by whoever the violence was against, which was not his current wife. Mm-hmm. And then they just left it at that. And that's the only dealings that this person has had with the police.
Well, didn't there or wasn't there, and I could be wrong, but wasn't there, and Bob, you would know this one, wasn't there a law in place at some point, like you could decide to not press charges, but then they enacted a law to say that, no, you don't have the say. Once you go this far, you no longer have the option of not pressing charges. I thought there was something like that many years ago.
It's a long time since I've had a case like this, which goes back probably about 25 to 30 years, because I've gradually and completely moved away from criminal law. But I don't recall that. However, if the individual who has originally filed the complaint with the police department at the time of the hearings says, I'm not going to testify, then I don't think you can force them to do so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, and it's a sad story all the way around because the children were 5 and 2, and she was 7 months pregnant, the wife, and just now is it a money thing? Maybe. Is it a mental health thing? Maybe. Did they lose their jobs? You're never gonna know.
I
We'll
think
never know.
regardless of the situations, mental health has to play a factor for you to be able. I can't even.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saying the best
To be able to do
solution.
that for a 2-year-old,
Oh, I know.
I can't even.
I don't get it.
So regardless of the situation, mental health was involved.
Yeah.
And I just wish that the parties had been able to get some outside counseling to try and resolve this issue before it came to this.
Was
point.
there an issue before? In other words, some people, signs are there, but sometimes you don't see them. Like, I'm just going to say, and I'm not saying this is the case, please. So she's pregnant. So was he upset that she was pregnant again?
Possibly. You're right.
But she chose to not, oh, no, he'll be happy once the baby's born. You know what I mean? So there could have been circumstances that you just choose to look the other way.
Could be back to money. Oh, third child. Oh,
Yeah.
That's going to cost. Here's another scenario. What if it's infidelity?
Right.
Maybe the third child's not his.
Right.
But all of those, as Sue says, the signs are there, and you wish people had the opportunity to
get the help.
recognize the signs
Yeah.
and move on to getting
Yeah.
help before things get to this point. But Sue's right. People may just not want to recognize the signs. And
All right. My wife always says...
It won't happen to me. It won't happen to me, kind of thing.
My wife always, when I told her this whole story, and it's like other stories, she says, well, the person doing the shooting, don't understand why you're shooting the other people. Shoot yourself or just get up and leave.
Right. Where's your real issue?
We don't understand why you're killing the other people. And
there's a lot of anger in this situation.
Well, you're right there, Bob. All right, we're going to take our first break here on the Coffee and Program. More coming your way. Comments, questions can be called in at 766-1240.
Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up gołąbki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
You can depend on us for public service. ON Radio.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with RE/MAX Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial, and he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first. And he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
It's Coffee and on ON Radio. We thank you for joining us. Joe Callahan here, along with Bob Lauder and Sue Tessier-McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call-In-Times. Look at the snow outside. It's sticking to the streets.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
walked in here and it was just kind of blowing.
Fluffy and like
no,
that,
it was
but
just
now-
kind of blowing in the wind. It was
Yeah.
looking lovely. And
And
now I'm like,
now-
okay, I've got boots with heels on, not quite prepared for any
Yes.
accumulation whatsoever.
We weren't supposed to have any.
I didn't hear snow.
And little or snow accumulation expected. The chance was 30%. Well, we hit it. So here we
Yeah.
are. Well, maybe it'll.
Looks lovely though.
It does look nice. All right, this portion of Coffee and is sponsored by
Grumble.
the Blackstone Valley Call-In-Times. Sue, what would you like to say that's awesome about the paper?
We have a lot of specials coming up.
Oh, well, there you go.
You get into January after the holidays. It gets kind of tough because everybody's so busy working on what they need to work on in their own business. Now we've got some new things coming. Valentine special. We actually run a nice winter special geared to small business. We also have home improvement because now's the time to be working inside your home. So we've got a lot going on. If you're looking to do any kind of marketing, whether it's digital, Facebook, or or just print, we can put a package together for you that can include all three, or just pick and choose what you'd like.
All right,
Call
Sue.
my cell, sorry. Sorry, Joe. Call my
okay.
cell at 487-4136.
All right, very good.
There's a great picture in today's paper that I'm looking at for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, okay. And what is that, Bob?
All the wrong reasons,
No,
he
you only have
says.
the first part here. You don't have the second part?
The second part of what?
The newspaper.
Oh, in the sports section?
Yes. I actually looked at the sports section. Hard to
Wow.
believe.
Wow.
What for
He's
laughs? There you go.
On the
But,
sports section,
Yeah.
there's a great picture of Cumberland goalie Emily Raimondi and Burrillville forward Victoria Steele positioned on the ice for hockey.
All right.
And I know the helmet on one of the participants is a perfectly good helmet, but the way the picture is taken from the angle looks like a happy little dog face.
Oh, my God, it does.
It's like a cartoon character. It's
didn't-
great.
Are there
does.
stickers on the?
No, it's an absolutely. She's
from
wearing
the
the helmet
goalie?
absolutely correctly. It's just the angle of it. You don't see the little dog face?
I don't see it.
Oh, okay. Well, my daughter is into anime, and it looks sort of like an anime dog.
No, I have no imagination, Bob. So,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
that
Well,
is-
we've known that. For a
You
long
want to
time,
talk?
but-
Want to talk imagination? So I have a foot bath in my shower. Well, let me rephrase. I have a foot bath that's up on top on the shelf above the shower, and when I look up at it, I think it's a stingray's face. They just kind of look happy.
Yes,
if you could
that's
see the
right from
sting-
underneath. Yeah.
Every time. Every time I look up there, the way the knobs are, and now because I'm looking at backwards and upside down, it looks like a little stingray's happy face. So Joe has no imagination. I have far too much.
Does it scare you though?
No, he's a happy face.
Oh, well, okay, good. All right, we did have a note that was come in 766-1240, just talking about because I'm sure it's been bugging you all week, Bob, of who the next coach for the Patriots will be.
Well, one of the people who was interviewed on the front page of today's paper and talking about was the firing of Jared Mayo correct, goes on to say that he had no experience in coaching.
Well, that's not really true. He was the offensive line coach for the Patriots for like the last 6 years.
Oh, okay.
So he did have that coaching experience, but not head coaching experience, and there's a difference.
All right. Because I was thinking if he had no coaching experience whatsoever, why they'd consider hiring him.
But he did.
Okay.
The answer, by the way, of who the next coach should be, they took a line from the old song "Love Potion Number 9."
Yeah.
Check in with Madame Rue on 14th Street and make sure she brings her crystal ball.
Right?
Okay.
Good enough. So,
Who have they selected?
they haven't selected anybody yet.
Oh, all right.
They had a couple of interviews yesterday, the day before. They had an interview yesterday. They're waiting. They want to interview the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, but there are rules because the Detroit Lions are still playing, and they're getting ready for a game this weekend. So we're too close to the weekend. Can't talk to him now. We may be able to talk to him, or they may be able to interview him Monday or Tuesday before they get ready for their following game if they win this coming weekend.
Now, the question they asked the people in the paper was,
Yeah.
do you think the Patriots did the right thing in firing him?
Yes.
You think so, too?
No. There's actually someone in there that I agree with that I don't think 1 year was enough.
Right.
I thought he should have at least 2 years. I thought he was given terrible players, and they said, "Here's the players. They're not very good. Go out and be great."
Okay.
And they weren't. Well, how about we get you better players next year, and see what you can do then. And if he still has a lousy season after 2 years, then okay, it's bye. But that's just me looking from the outside. I don't know what's going on the inside. I'm hearing a lot of stories about what's going on in the locker room and things like that. And if you believe those, then yeah, he had to go. So
Well, I know you've discussed this with me before and explained it to me, but doesn't a coach, he can do some strategizing as to who's he putting on the field at various times.
Yes.
But doesn't it really depend on the quality of your players?
Yes.
I mean, if you have a really good defensive line,
Yes.
Okay. So
He's what he, if I'm the coach and I'm looking between Bob and Sue to be in there to go catch the ball. If Bob,
He's
if,
sending me.
Well, Bob,
you know at least which direction
Bob,
to
if you've had a lousy week of practice and you've dropped the ball consistently, but Sue's always open, guess what? You're not playing. Sue, get in there.
but she's wearing high heels.
And I could still do it.
It's helping her out.
I could still do it, just so you know.
Yes, that happens a lot, and you hear that a lot of times while the game is going on. You heard it throughout the season. Why isn't Mayo playing this person?
Right.
They're on the bench. Why? Well, you don't know. You can ask afterwards, and maybe they'll tell you. Maybe not.
No, just speculation.
But, yeah.
If Belichick had still been the coach, with these particular players, do you think he would have the same problems?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Out of a roster of 53, 3 of them were decent, and there's just no way you're going to win with 3 players.
Okay. 53 on a team? That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
They're allowed to have 53. People get hurt a lot playing this game. It is rough.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
All right. So, and the other thing being kicked around yesterday was in football. Tom Brady is part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders fired their coach after one season, and so they went to Bill. Well, maybe they went to Tom. Tom, can you call your friend Bill
Right.
Belichick and see if he wants to coach in the NFL? And now Bill's already taken a job. He's going to be the head coach of the University of North Carolina. And I'm like, gee, I really don't see Belichick quitting on North Carolina. He's already accepted the job like a month ago.
Now,
And so they called him. And Belichick said, I cannot go back on my word. I've said I would coach for the North Carolina. I've already started the recruiting process. So the answer is no, I will not be the coach.
why
of the
don't they
Raiders.
consider Brady? Because Brady has been on a team. He knows the various plays. He knows the strengths of the various members of the team. Wouldn't he have the same kind of background in making determinations that a coach would make?
Not every good player makes a good coach.
All right.
In fact, it's usually the mediocre players than it being the better coaches. Belichick never played in the NFL at all.
Right.
He might have played college, but I'm not sure on that.
But
And
someone
then
like Brady, who's actually seen how
Yeah.
the coaching works and can evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of the various players and knows the pattern of the game.
But Brady also has a contract that he's signed with Fox Sports.
Okay.
He would have to break that contract in order to go coach. And I think I've heard. I'm not positive on this. He always said, I don't want to coach.
All right.
So if there's no drive to go coach.
Yeah, if you don't want to do
you
it,
don't
that's
wanna be
like that's like employees that don't want to move up in the company. They're happy with the position they have, and they don't want to be management. They just want, at the end of the day, walk out the door and go home. Not
right.
have to worry.
Detroit is not playing this week. They have a bye. So, okay. So they can talk to their offensive coordinator
Wait.
at any point. So
Somebody called in a correction to Joe Callahan on
yeah,
sports.
Right.
How about that?
Man, this is
Well, the Patriots aren't playing, so I'm not paying attention to who has the buys this week. I know Buffalo. No, they don't. I know Kansas City's got a bye, so it's
that
just-
means you're
it's just not
sinking
that
down to
important.
my level in when it comes
Oh,
to
I
sport.
wouldn't. Gee, I wouldn't say that, Bob.
Yeah, no.
Let's not
Rats.
go. Let's not
Rats.
go there.
It's not a good level, Bob.
No, it certainly isn't.
It's not good. Not a good place to be.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the Coffee and program. It's time to bring you the snowy weather forecast, and it's brought to you by Compassion International.
A chance of snow showers before 2 p.m. Partly sunny skies with a high of 29. The northwest wind will gust to 40 miles per hour today. Little or no snow accumulation is expected. Tonight, mostly clear skies, overnight low of 22, with that northwest wind howling to 35 miles an hour again. Friday's weather, sunshine with a high near 38, northwest winds diminishing to 25 miles per hour. Friday night, a slight chance of snow after 4 a.m. Saturday, a chance of some snow, 40% chance now, mainly between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. Mostly cloudy with a high of 33. Calm wind becoming northwest in the afternoon. Little or no snow accumulation is expected for the Blackstone Valley on Saturday. Sunday, sunshine and 37. Monday, mostly sunny with a high of 38. Tuesday, partly sunny and 36. And on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high near 30.
Outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, where we do have cloudy skies, it's snowing, and we have 21 degrees. Thousands of kids in poverty have waited over a year for a sponsor. End their wait today. Become a compassionate sponsor. Text radio to 83393. The previous segment of Coffee and was sponsored by the Blackstone Valley Call-in Times.
You've heard it before. The world is getting smaller. Places you had to travel to years ago now seem right next door. It's no surprise, then, that all the communities of the Blackstone Valley have so much in common these days that we share common interests. Keeping up with this trend, the Blackstone Valley's two daily newspapers, The Call and The Times, have joined forces to cover the entire valley in one convenient newspaper. The Blackstone Valley's Call and Times, a paper for the entire valley. At your local store, honor box, or home delivery, 767-8522. Great entertainment coming up at Chan's, as it always is. And coming up tomorrow night, Friday night the 10th, it's Evil Gal Michelle Wilson with special guests Sugar Ray Norcia. Celebrate Evil Gal Michelle's birthday bash with her special guest, 20 advance, 25 at the door. Then on Saturday night the 11th, how about Sean Montero? Now, that's from 8 to 10 at night at Chan's. Enjoy Rhode Island's Music Hall of Fame inductee, jazz songbird Sean Montero. 25 in advance, 30 at the door. It's Chan's, 267 Main Street, Woonsocket. Oh, and they have great food there, too. Chan's.
Hello, this is Kevin Callahan. Join me and Pat Holland in the cheap seats with Pat and Kevin. Sports talk every Saturday morning at 9 here on ON, AM, and FM.
It's Coffee In on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Sue Tesser-McKenzie and attorney Bob Lauder. And Bob, time for a first message from your law office.
Thank you. Good morning. This is attorney Bob Lauder. I'd like to return this morning to a discussion of some of the more recent cases decided by the Rhode Island Supreme Court. Both of these cases illustrate the legal penalties arising from a delay in protecting one's legal rights. The first case is that of the Preserve of Boulder Hills, LLC versus Kenyon, and was decided in April of last year. The Preserve was a group of developers who purchased land in Richmond, Rhode Island, with the intention of developing it into an outdoor shooting range and gun club. The Town Council and the Planning Board initially supported the project, but subsequently an amendment was made to the zoning ordinance which prohibited such a use. The Preserve was not notified of these changes, but in 2016, a new zoning district was created, permitting the indoor and outdoor shooting ranges. The Preserve sued the town, claiming that the two-year delay had caused substantial revenue loss, and the town had engaged in discriminatory practices that increased their costs and hindered their development plans. The Superior Court rejected the claim of the Preserve, and the plaintiffs took an appeal to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court affirmed the judgment of the Superior Court. The court ruled that all of the alleged actions of the town were considered to be torts, and that the statute of limitations upon seeking judicial relief for torts was 3 years from the date of injury. Consequently, although the Preserve had the right to construct the shooting ranges, it could not recover for the alleged loss of income. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please call my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer. The Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right there, Bob. Thanks. Well, we had this story the other day, and we're going to run it by Bob because it's another good law question for Bob, and because I don't agree with what has taken place. And so it was a couple of days ago, and maybe you heard about it. There was a man on a JetBlue airplane at Logan Airport, and they were going to go. They're going to fly from Boston to Puerto Rico. All right, sounding familiar at all?
Not yet.
No, not
Okay,
to me.
they're starting to taxi out when a man on the flight decides, I don't want to go. So he opens up the emergency door.
Oh, great.
And because of where they are or what he did, not only did he open up the emergency door, out comes the slide, that inflatable slide.
Right.
Well, now they got to some passengers restrained them. Mm-hmm. They got to turn around. We got to go back. I don't know what they got to do for the airplane, but you just can't take off because you got to do something with that slide now.
Slide hanging out the door.
Now, yeah, we just can't take off with this. Now we got to get another plane. All these people on the plane have been delayed now to get to their trip. But they contacted Mass State Police and they came down and they arrested him. All right, so he was arraigned and he was released on $500 bail.
Okay.
That's it.
That's bail is
And then okay. One more thing. But then he was allowed to get on another airplane, and he's in Puerto Rico now.
Absolutely not.
While he's awaiting trial. Now I understand it's part of the United States.
I'm curious as to what made him not want to go. Did he forget something? Was there something important that he needed to do? What?
According to his attorney, he suffers from mental health issues and had a psychotic episode on the plane on Tuesday. Go ahead.
okay. When a person is brought into court for an arraignment, the judge will determine a whole lot of things, and bail is a consequence of that. If the judge says, okay, I don't think you should be incarcerated right now because I believe that you're going to be willing to come back to court at the next hearing, then I will probably say you have to post a bond or a bail to confirm that you're going to come back to court. If the man had residency in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, if he worked there, if he had some kind of real contact with them so that the judge thought, okay, it's highly likely you're going to return to the next court hearing, the judge would say, okay, I'm establishing bail or bond at X number of dollars. And the person posts that, and then they're allowed to be released from police custody. Now, frequently, the judge will also include other things. If it involved a weapons charge, the judge might say, okay, you have to either surrender your weapons or not be associated with weapons. The judge might have said, you can't leave the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You have to stay here just to make sure that you're coming back for your next hearing date. In a case where there was some type of conflict between two people, the judge would probably have said, okay, there's a restraining order. You cannot have contact with this person who's brought the charges against you. I don't know what the circumstances were in this case as to why the judge would not have said you can't leave the Commonwealth. But if the judge didn't include that as part of the bail conditions, then his going to Puerto Rico seems to be legitimate.
But
although
so
I'm
many
surprised
people,
that the airline would take him on board.
So many
Yeah.
people do dumb stuff on airplanes, and they're near banned from flying again on any
Right.
airline. This guy should not have been allowed back on the plane.
He is charged with interfering with an aircraft operation. Wouldn't that be a federal crime?
That's right.
I would think so, yes.
That's why I'm thinking the bail's just way too low.
Well, the bail doesn't depend on the nature of the crime. It depends on the judge's calculation as to whether or not you're going to come back to the next hearing, and whether or not you're a continuing element of danger to other people.
All right. I watched too many episodes of Law and Order. So,
Well,
'cause
see,
they
I
al-
get that
They
part.
always
I
bring
get
in the
what
murder
you're saying.
suspects, and they get $1 million on
Right.
bail.
I get the, what they base it on. That there was a show that explained that too, Joe.
Yeah.
But I don't understand allowing him back on a plane to go exactly where. Now, when it comes to, here's a question for you, Bob. When it comes to claiming mental health, you have to somehow prove that. Like you're either seeing psychiatrists, or you're in therapy, or you're on certain meds to try
Right.
to control it. You have to
And
prove.
maybe the lawyer did that.
Yeah.
Well, if you're, as a defendant, you have several options. It's the responsibility of the plaintiff, the prosecution, to prove the elements of the case against you. You do not have to say anything. You can take the fifth on this and leave it entirely up to the prosecution and challenge any of the evidence that the prosecution may bring in. But if you have a separate defense that you want to bring, you say, okay, I have these mental issues, then yes, you're going to have to prove the substantiation of those mental issues, and the prosecution is going to have the opportunity to challenge the evidence that you've brought on that.
Now,
Right now they're at the arraignment stage, so what the
Okay.
lawyer says outside the courtroom is interesting for the public, but it's not what they're actually going to be doing in court.
Now, I don't know if he has a home in Massachusetts. I don't know if he works in Massachusetts. But according to the story we got, he was allowed to return to his home in Puerto Rico. I guess they know where the home is in Puerto Rico, and they can always go pick him up
Okay, that's
to get him back for his next trial.
then
appearance.
I would wonder about the amount of the bail, because if he is in Puerto Rico and he doesn't come back to Massachusetts for any of the continuing litigation against him, getting him back from Puerto Rico is going to cost a lot more money than it would be to just have increased his bail. I do think that the bail may have been pretty small under those circumstances.
Yeah. Okay. We
And
agree
that's
then,
an
Bob.
agree with Joe.
Once in a while.
How
yeah.
about that?
we got these
went
like ding, ding, ding,
$500.
ding, ding, you know. 1 point for you, Joe.
More points for Joe. Jesus.
Excellent.
This is like every day.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right. The inauguration is coming up on January 20th, and we got our first report of either a congressperson or a senator that has already come out and said, "I'm not going." It's out of Massachusetts. Boston.com reports Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. And I don't know if you people know who Ayanna Pressley is. I do, not personally, but I do know of her. Very far to the left. Big Harris supporter. She's the first one that says, "Nope, I'm not going." Now she says she'll attend community events on January 20th, which is also Martin Luther King Day, and she'll attend community events in her district that, quote, feed our collective soul, unquote. Whatever that
She has
means.
the right to do it, and her
That
absence
is
isn't
true.
going to make any difference.
Probably not. Presley will also host an event to honor King's vision of justice and equity for everyone. So, but I'm waiting to hear what about Elizabeth Warren, and what about Jake Auchincloss, and what about the ones from Rhode Island? Will Gabe Amo go? Will two senators go?
You know what?
have no
I think
idea.
I think you have to be a professional. You put
Well, I think so too.
put ish aside and put your
This-
big girl panties on and do what you're supposed
and be
to
a
do.
stand-up
Do
person.
what you're supposed to do.
I really don't know what the representatives in the House and the senators really do in any of
Right.
this inauguration. I
If you're
imagine they just
supposed
sit
to
in the
go,
bleachers
fine.
and
If
watch.
not, then don't.
I think they just watch.
Okay.
As part of the, I guess as part of a perk of being a senator and congressman, you can sit closer
Right.
to where the swearing in will be, as opposed to the general public, which will be, way back there.
See, I wouldn't make a
behind
big deal
gate.
if they don't go.
Yeah.
But at the same time, be a professional and do what you're supposed to do. If you
Yeah.
don't have to and you don't want to go, then it shouldn't be
It should be-
newsworthy. Just
Yeah.
Plus,
do
for
you.
weather like today, I'd be sitting there like Bernie Sanders 4
Oh.
years ago with the blanket over my
It
knees.
is-
Right.
But Bernie went, right?
He went.
Okay. One more story before we gotta get a second message from Bob, and then Bob's gonna head off to court. Naval Station Newport will be the home port of 4 new state-of-the-art Coast Guard cutters. That's pretty cool. They'll replace 2 smaller, aging cutters. Coast Guard said the new vessels will strengthen mission readiness for search and rescue, law enforcement, and Arctic operations. Newport is also home to 3 Coast Guard buoy tenders. And if you ever seen Coast Guard boats on the water when they're going after someone,
No.
it's
Only on TV.
it's like, but it's like watching an airplane. They go so fast.
Yep.
And the Coast Guard people stand. Whoa! These boats.
I love it. I
and
love
they,
it.
they don't fall over. I'm like, how do you?
Are they going to
how
keep
do
the
you do
Castle
that?
Hill?
Doesn't say.
What's Castle Hill?
Well, there's a station there. It's a smaller scale.
I
but
guess they'll
it's-
keep that too. We're
Yeah.
just bringing in new boats to Newport, and I think that's pretty cool. So, all right, Bob, it's time for a second message from your law office, and then we can send you out into the snow to shovel the driveway. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. This is
Warm up my car. Sorry.
I got all kinds of projects. Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. The second case I'd like to discuss with you this morning also involves an individual who failed to act in an expeditious manner in a legal conflict. And this is the case of Ponagansett 2, LLC versus Electricia Garcia. And it was decided in April of last year. In the Ponagansett case, the defendant hired the plaintiff to perform mechanical work on her property. The parties entered into a written contract. But when the defendant failed to pay in accordance with the agreement, the plaintiff stopped work and filed a mechanic's lien on the real estate. Thereafter, the plaintiff filed litigation in the Superior Court, and the defendant was served with a summons and complaint. The defendant failed to respond to the complaint, and the plaintiff was granted a default judgment. Thereafter, the defendant filed a motion to vacate the entry of the default judgment and a motion seeking to file a counterclaim out of time, to quash the mechanic's lien, and filed an oral proof of claim. The plaintiff, in response, filed a motion for the entry of the default judgment and a petition for attorney's fees. The Superior Court granted the plaintiff's request and awarded the plaintiff's attorney's fees of $12,000. The defendant filed an appeal to the Supreme Court, arguing that the mechanic's lien was unenforceable because the plaintiff failed to provide notice of the possible mechanic's lien as required by state law, and that the Superior Court was in error when it awarded the plaintiff the value of the attorney's fees. The Supreme Court disagreed with the defendant. The court ruled that because the defendant had failed to make a timely response to the plaintiff's complaint, the defendant had waived all rights to contest the default judgment, and the Superior Court had made no error in awarding the damages sought by the plaintiff. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please call my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer: the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Enjoy the snow, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you very much. Hope to be here.
All
Great
right.
to see both of you.
I have a good day.
More Coffee and coming up. Stay tuned.
Every winter, the state of Rhode Island prepares for the winter season, and we want you to be prepared as well. At the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency, our top priority is keeping everyone safe, so we want to remind you to be prepared for the ice, cold, and snow. Keep an emergency supply kit, have a communications plan, and stay informed. Find more information at riema.ri.gov or visit us on social media. Brought to you by the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency and the Rhode Island Broadcasters Association.
Join the St. Anne Arts and Cultural Center for its annual winter fundraiser at Cello's in Woonsocket on Sunday, January 19th from 11:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. Cello's will donate up to 20% of your check to the center. Everyone who participates will be entered into a free drawing for gift cards to Cello's and more. A certificate is needed and can be obtained at Belo's Flowers, Creative Impressions, The Honey Shop, Little General on Cumberland Street, Missy's Family Restaurant, Pine Swamp Place, Timeless Antiques, Vo's True Value Hardware, or online at the St. Anne Arts and Cultural Center website.
We're always here for you. ON Radio.
It is Coffee and on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. This is Joe Callan here with Sue Tessier and Mackenzie. Bob Lauder had to go. And so not only is it wintertime, Sue, and not only is it we're coming into a playoff football time, but it's Girl Scout cookie season has begun. It's starting to ramp up in some parts with two flavors are making their final run in 2025.
S'mores?
S'mores is right. They've been on after 9 years.
I forget what the other one is.
And the other one is Toast Yay. All right. That's only been out there for 4 years. Girl Scouts of America say this is the first time it's warning customers that flavors are being discontinued so they can stock up before they're gone for good. Maybe the s'mores is your favorite. You might want to buy
you buy a few.
5 boxes instead of buying 2 boxes. So all cookies will be available for sale at booths or online through local chapters across the country. Girl Scout cookie season runs through April. So what all I can think of is that sales of these two are just not as good as the Thin Mints.
That's what I would think.
Or
Samoas or something.
S'mores and the Toast Yay.
Toast
and
Yay.
the other,
I never
the one
even
with the peanut
heard of
butter
it.
and the chocolate. Oh, that's right. People go for their favorites.
Right.
And so, okay, give it a shot. Come up with new flavors. See if it sells. And if it doesn't, okay, we're getting rid of them, and we're sticking with the traditional. But it is Girl Scout cookie time, so guess where you'll see them out pretty soon, out in there in front of the grocery stores.
Yep, everywhere.
And it's been a long time since I bought a box of Girl Scout cookies. How much do they cost now?
$7.
Holy cow!
That's what I was. That's what I heard on
what do you
TV.
get? You get like 20?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Oh, wow. Okay. They're up to $7 a box. Wow.
Yep.
Ooh, okay.
Yep. I haven't bought. I've never been Girl Scout cookies.
Oh,
gotta
yeah,
have it.
gotta have them. Yeah.
But like my My niece back in the day used to some. I used to like the chocolate with the caramel with and I don't like coconut, but it has a little bit
little
of coconut
okay.
mixed in. Those I like, but I'm not a huge cookie
person.
I make huge cookies. I mean, I make cookies, but not to eat.
That's like I said. We had the story a few days ago, maybe a week or so ago, that the broccoli that was being sold like at Walmart stores at like 20 different states had to be recalled.
Yeah.
Listeria. I said, Oreo cookies are never recalled.
Never.
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 There's never an issue with them.
Yep.
Well, if you're an Elvis fan, they're gathering down in Graceland. They get together for his birthday.
90.
The king would have been 90. 3,000 people from around the world were at Graceland Mansion Wednesday morning. 3,000.
Wow.
Kind of a lot. They do a few events down there in Memphis in January, but their big events are held in August when he passed away. And the only reason they do it then is because it's really cold in Memphis at this time of year. So
exactly.
we go in August when it's warm. So, but they still have other events that are going on down there, and the celebrations honoring Presley began on Monday, and they're going to continue all this week. So
they're going to continue all the way to August.
Well, then they take a break
for those that.
But you can always go to Graceland and take the tour.
Right.
There you go. So, an Arizona tattoo artist is defending his actions because he tattooed an American flag on a 9-year-old girl. More right here. Okay. The artist is part owner of Black Onyx Empire Tattoo. It's in Yuma, Arizona. The backlash started after he posted a video of him tattooing the girl. Usually you're 18 to get a tattoo. Okay. He said she originally wanted an image of Donald Trump on her neck, but he convinced her to get a flag instead. This isn't answering any of my questions
yet. No, it's still
yet.
not answering the 9-year-old.
Sosa said the girl's parents were fine with it. Okay. He said the family is from Turkey, and they told him the tattoo was very important to them and that getting tattooed was a family tradition. At 9?
In Turkey.
In Turkey. They go back to Turkey and get it.
That's the only, maybe out there it's not an issue, but out here it is an issue.
I don't know what the laws are in Arizona. My son was growing up.
I mean, like if you're in Turkey, you get it, and then you come home to Arizona. Now what? They can't do anything.
I don't know what the laws are in Arizona around here. I think you can get a tattoo if you're 16 or 17
with permission,
with your parents' permission. Fill out the form. Maybe it's younger in Arizona. I don't know. 18 and over. So look that up. The tattoo laws in Arizona. And it was always funny because my son came to us when he was like 15 or so, and he goes, I'd like to get a tattoo. And I said, knock yourself out. I said, 1, I'm not paying for it. And 2, I'm not signing off on this. So you're not getting one until you're 18. And guess what? He got one when he was 18. And he paid for it, and it was his decision. So there you go. What have you found, Sue?
It is unlawful for a person, number 1, to intentionally brand, scarify, implant, mutilate, tattoo, or pierce the body of a person who is under 18 years of age without the physical presence of the parent or legal guardian of the person requesting the brand, scar, tattoo, implant, mutilation, or piercing.
Is this Arizona state law?
That says...
Or federal?
I put tattoo laws in Arizona.
Okay.
But I'm going to continue. Can I get a tattoo at 16 in Arizona? Let's see what it says. Yeah,
it probably says yes if your parents are sitting there watching you get it.
That's what it keeps saying. The minimum age for it just keeps saying the minimum age for a tattoo is 16.
Oh, 16 in Arizona.
That's what it says, yeah.
So if you're 9, you got to be there, watch it happen, prove that you're the parents of the child, and everybody's in agreement that you want this.
I have a problem with that.
If I'm the tattoo artist, go somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to be part of this at all. Especially, I've talked to people that have tattoos on their necks. It's one of the most painful places to get one. So I don't know why you would have it there. yeah, it can be seen by other people, but I just don't know why you want it there. And when you're 9, how about when she's 16? I don't like this tattoo anymore.
Right.
And now the procedure to go through to get rid of it, more pain.
And it's the whole thing to me doesn't.
So yeah, he probably made $500 off tattooing the 9-year-old. But to me, that is just not worth it.
But he's pointing out the fact that she wanted Trump, and I convinced her to get the American flag
so
instead.
I'm the better person.
I'm a good guy.
Wow. Well, okay. Wow.
I can't even no, it's not even. I can't imagine.
Well, okay. So that's what's going on. No word on whether or not they will actually charge the tattoo artist, and they probably won't. If he can get the parents to say, "Yeah, I'm okay," and I signed off on it, so okay, that's Arizona law. Okay, things. We talk about, things are not good in my town. Well, things could always be worse. Bogalusa, Louisiana. I have no idea where this is, if it's near New Orleans or not. But the mayor of this town or this city, he's out on bond. I wish Bob was here. He's out on bond following his arrest on charges involving prostitutes and drugs. And this is the mayor.
For the love of God.
Louisiana State Police say Tyron Truong and 6 other suspects were arrested on Tuesday after an investigation that lasted several months. Troopers seized opioids, marijuana, THC, and MDMA. I don't know what that is. Anyway, the suspects reportedly sold narcotics and used some of the profits to buy guns that ended up in the hands of people who can't legally own guns.
Oh, my God.
Oh, there's so many charges here. Some of the guns were reportedly used to commit crimes in that town of Bogalusa. Officials say more arrests are expected since the narcotic rings reportedly has about 20 members. Doesn't say if it's head by the mayor, but what's that?
MDA is a term for a drug.
MDMA. Oh, okay.
MDMA.
Is it methamphetamines or?
Yeah.
Is it?
But that's such a long word that they just
Okay, we'll shorten it.
shorten that bad boy.
All right. Because of President Carter passing away, Narragansett Brewery is offering a commemorative beer this week to honor the late president and his impact on the craft brewing industry. Remember when Billy Beer came out?
Yep.
I guess you could consider that a craft beer back then. The company says Carter signed legislation legalizing home brewing in 1978. I didn't realize he did that.
Did not know that.
And that led to the booming craft beer industry. According to the Brewers Association, the U.S. craft beer industry supported hundreds of thousands of jobs in 2024 and contributed billions to the economy. Starting Friday, Narragansett Brewery will have Peanut Farmer Porter on tap, referencing Jimmy Carter's time as a peanut farmer in Georgia. So if Jimmy Carter doesn't sign this in 1978, there's no Lops Brewing here in the city of Woonsocket.
No craft brewing, period.
At all, yeah.
I mean, so is a porter, is that a dark beer?
I think so.
I think it is a dark beer. I'm not a...
It doesn't say they're going to make it with peanuts. That's just what they're going to call it. Peanut beer.
What's the name again?
They're going to call it Peanut Farmer Porter.
Right.
And you have it in honor...
Using it peanut farmer doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be flavored, because they do, like the shanties, which, Dell's shanty. Well, that tells you it's going to have Dell's lemonade in it.
Right. So, okay. Let's see. Anything else of fun note going on? Other people that lost their houses, by the way, out there in California, Billy Crystal, Paris Hilton. Billy Crystal and his wife released a statement saying the home they lived in since 1979 is gone. Yeah. They add that words cannot describe the enormity of the devastation they are witnessing and experiencing. Paris Hilton posted on her X site that her Malibu home has burned down and she's heartbroken beyond words. Says the loss is overwhelming, but she's holding on to gratitude that the family is safe. So
right, and we discussed Paris Hilton few weeks ago. I remember that.
Yeah.
And even that, I don't care how much money you have. Everything you own just went up in flames. And you can replace it. That's on the positive side, but you still lost, memories. She has a child now.
Yeah.
There's all memories of that in itself. So, yeah.
And James Wood lost his house, and he's out there. He's criticizing the Los Angeles fire chief, Kristen Crowley, saying she prioritizes diversion, inclusion, and equity instead of making sure there's enough water to fight the fires. Woods, who posted video of his Pacific Palisades home burning, said fire trucks parked outside his house couldn't pump water because the reservoirs weren't filled. They were there ready to go. No water. He added this isn't a social justice exercise that she's in charge of. This is about getting water to areas that needed water because their houses were burning to the ground.
So sad.
It is so sad. One more story. A bill requiring the 10 Commandments to be displayed in Oklahoma public school classrooms is being reintroduced. State Rep Jim Olson says he is cautiously optimistic about his bill this year because of new legislative leadership. A similar measure approved in Louisiana was ruled unconstitutional by a federal judge. That'll probably happen again in Oklahoma if it goes to the federal level. So,
right.
I don't know why they're pushing this, but okay, that's what they're doing in Oklahoma. They got to worry about the graduation rates out there too. All right, that'll do it for the show for today. We thank you very much for listening. Enjoy yourself if you're heading outside. Looks like the snow may have stopped right now.
It's just a little
Just
bit.
a little flurries right now.
I keep staring at the screen, and it's just a tiny.
We're looking at the snow on Kennedy Street, so some of these side streets are going to have snow on them. Park Ave looks okay down to the pavement, and so like Social and Diamond Hill Road and Clinton, they're going to be okay.
Yeah, they're going to be okay.
But these side streets just got to be careful. Thanks to Bob Lauder, who was in earlier today, and Sue, thanks for being here today as well.
Thank you, and have a great rest of the week.
All right, I'm Joe Callahan. Stay tuned for Do You Remember? Gary Smith and the crew coming your way at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. Rhode Island's Narragansett Brewery is offering a commemorative beer this weekend to honor the late President Jimmy Carter and his impact on the craft brewing industry. The company says Carter signed legislation